All right, fellow nerds, I finally have another episode of Taking Back Tolkien, Tolkien versus Tech Bros. You tell me which one you like better. On the docket, we have Mithril Capital and Valar Ventures. And supervillains will include not just Peter Thiel, but also JD Vance and Jeffrey Epstein. It's going to be a wild ride, so let's get into it. Mithril, also called True Silver or Moria Silver, is an element found throughout Arda. It makes an appearance in the Blessed Lands or Aman or Valinor, where the Valar are, ironically. It's also found in the island kingdom of Numenor, but its most famous lode is in the Misty Mountains in the mines of Moria, or Khazad-dûm if you're dwarvish. The most logical explanation for its origins are in the original Song of Creation that was started by Iluvatar and carried out also by the Valar. And one of those Vala is Ole. Ole is in charge of craftsmanship and the Earth's minerals, while Melkor / Morgoth, the bad guy, is responsible for raising the mountains. The actual elements within are Ole's creation. In related news, Ole is also the father of the dwarven kind, which is why they have such an obsession with the metals and minerals of the Earth. By the way, that whole Rings of Power storyline where Mithril came out of a battle with a Balrog and that originally it was Ole. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that one. Now for the tech bro stuff. Mithril Capital and Valar Ventures are both venture capital firms. Basically, a bunch of rich people pool all of their money and they invest in companies where they think that they're going to make a profit or a return. Most of the time, you do not recoup your investment, and so it is truly only a game for the rich and powerful. Mithril is also responsible for launching the venture capital career of JD Vance, our current vice president, who then a couple years later went on to start his own VC firm, Narya. Does that sound nerdy? It should, because Narya is one of the 3 elven rings of power. If you'll remember, the 3 elven rings were made only by Celebrimbor, but under the craft of Sauron. And they were made in Eregion, right outside Moria. And the reason Celebrimbor set up outside of Eregion was because of, among other things, the Mithril supply in Moria. Narya is the fire ring, the one that went to Círdan the shipwright first, and then eventually to Gandalf. The other 2 elven rings are Vilya, the Ring of Water, which is held first by Gil-galad and then by Elrond. And then the 3rd ring, Nenya, is actually made out of Mithril and the stone adamant. And that was gifted to Galadriel directly by Celebrimbor. Oh, and another name you might recognize in Mithril Capital's portfolio? Palantir. It all comes back. Now, Valar Ventures spun out of Peter Thiel's Thiel Capital. And this is where Jeff Epstein enters the picture. Between 2015 and 2016, Jeff Epstein invested about $40 million in Valar Ventures. Just last month, that investment was valuated at about $170 million. And somehow, in all of this, Epstein's estate is still able to hold on to that investment. Oh, to be rich and powerful. So how do we reclaim our nerddom? What I love most about Tolkien's world building is how it is so like the real world. And what I mean by that is the elements and characters and plot devices, such as Mithril or the concept of the Valar, are neither good nor evil on their face. It is almost entirely based on the usage of the thing or the agency of the person in question. You have Valar who stick to their purpose from Eru Iluvatar in taking care of Arda. And then you have Valar like Melkor who completely rebel. You have Vala like Ole who create a type of person, the dwarves, without asking for Iluvatar's blessing, but ultimately are blessed by it in the end. Mithril was used for beauty and goodness and also for evil. Nenya, the elvish ring of power, is a great example of both of those kind of coalescing into one. It also ends up being the coat that protects Frodo from getting skewered when he is in the mines of Moria, ironically. While the presence of Mithril also drove greed. From both dwarves and elves, by the way. And I feel that way about capitalism and venture capital specifically. We are in a capitalist, cash-based economy, and I think there's a lot of good that can be done with that. But there's also a lot of evil. The same system that sets up innovation can also set up wealth hoarding. The same system that creates entrepreneurship and new ideas can also lead to dark money in politics. We're definitely seeing some bad faith actors using the elements of this world for evil. But you can also choose to use those same elements for good. Stay toxic to power nerds and stay tuned.